The one thing I will show is we did something fun last week. So what we have, Aram here, who's actually in France. He's not French, but he's French, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So
French
there was
boy.
almost 30 of us that went, took around a month of planning where we had to lie to him, first lie to his wife for a couple of weeks. And then we had to bring her into the scheme. And so our co-Thursday, which is our kind of weekly dinner party besides the first Thursday, we asked community members if they wanted to buy a ticket to go support him in a play, which, just I like movies, not plays, and especially confirmed that after watching this one. But he's worked in this play for whatever reason. God knows what some adult people do, but he did this. So we thought, let's go surprise him. And I think we see him next year on April 9th, right? So last week would be like a month since we see him. So he's going around saying his goodbyes, walking around, hugging everyone. And even after a workout, we don't obviously shower together, but there's locker rooms where intimate conversations happen for men too. And he was like, try to.
Thanks for sharing that.
So I say men too, because I assume you guys must be having some amazingly intimate conversations I was after the shower trying to, is there any way you and Megan can come to the play? It ends by Saturday. I can get 2 tickets. And I was like, I'm really sorry. But of course, we've been lying to him for a month because we had bought a whole bunch of tickets. We're all going. And so, last week we had a co-Thursday field trip. So to surprise Aram in his play, we did a session. We all made posters beforehand. So you see creative pictures of him. And then we showed up at the theater, and I think I'm sure you're very nervous when you have to, go to a play and whatnot and have to perform. And he completely just didn't see us for at least a good chunk of the play.
We're trying to figure out, do we go, can we go like this? But we didn't want to throw you off.
But we were all there with our signs. And so he told us his instant reaction was, oh God. As in protesters protesting something, right? Is it about rhinos or animal rights or something? And so he was wondering, God, what, protesters suck, I'm sure is what he thought in his French voice, and then
Tom Simon's just throwing her down.
And then when he realizes we're there, he has this slight moment, when an actor breaks character, there's different parts. So there was a split second, but he was very professional because if you didn't really pay attention, it was a split second smirk.
Yeah.
He grabbed his heart and then went right back into character. And then I guess he wanted to come say hi, but then the cast was you're going to break character. And I was like, the guy's not a professional actor, but somehow he's being treated like one. So and any pro could do both. But anyways, but it was great. No, so then we had fun surprising him, and then went for drinks afterwards with the crew, and I don't know if anyone wanted to drink something else, but we made everyone drink a Corona or cider. This is easier to order
and water.
Eat a ton of bar food, and so we're going from one healthy Thursday to another one for the Irish today. But so anyways, that was last week. Just sharing that. And I don't know what else we'll do, but
that's cool.
Anyways. This is the class we went into, and there were so many topics. So it kind of digressed in so many directions, which is why it got so long. And then try to go through even at breakfast. How do we shorten this thing? This notion of the new world, there's a new norm. And when you think of a new norm, new world, it means that we've never seen it, right? I know a lot of us are thinking, well, I've seen it somehow. Whether you realize it or not, most of us tend to operate thinking, especially if you're an adult, that And if it's new, that means you wouldn't know, which also means that you have to take more time and more understanding for yourself to try to comprehend how it's different, how it's maybe totally different than what my automatic or default thinking is. And when we don't understand the new world or the new situation correctly, we keep applying the wrong human skills, or the wrong, strategies. And so when you keep losing, right? Or when someone will say, I don't keep losing, I'm just stuck. I was like, that's losing. In fact, I would argue being stuck is even worse than losing. And the reason is because time will go by and you will do nothing to change. So you will burn life You will burn money. You will burn energy. You will burn everything to get nothing. And that, by the way, was the definition of the most unhappiest place human beings get to, which is burnout. Like literally fueling your body, like just getting up to move around, to go nowhere, to be completely stuck despite spending the energy just to be awake in the day. That being stuck is the reason why people burn out. And so the interesting part about how the world's kind of bifurcated rapidly is this. Most people are losing and will keep losing. And there's a few that are winning, and they will win way more. And it feels unfair. So then the top thing can go into, maybe I'll spend my energy protesting, complaining, right? Trying to actually, like
Fight it.
fight the winners, right? There was some quote, like I had liked that I didn't put in, maybe I just like it. So I just kept referencing back to it. It was an interview, I guess, when Kobe Bryant met Elon Musk. And I'm not saying Elon's like the best of everything, but this was what it was. Kobe Bryant meeting Elon. Winners learn from winners. They study them. They spend time around them. They listen carefully to how they think. Losers in life usually do the opposite. They stay around other people who complain, make excuses, and stay stuck. There's a reason why they tend to cycle in the same sort of way. You can't break out of the spiral. We talked about rage mastery. Rage mastery is always mission first, people always, not, well, rage mastery starts and let me kind of go rage on my own self and how I am, how do I feel? And this nuance of contact sport with hard mission is what reveals what you need to work on. And then there was another piece, so like instead of war with a mission, which is kind of the thing that matters, people go to war with ego, with themselves, with other people. And then a separate point, I tend to go at war with people, especially on my own team, that distort information. And the reason is when you're making decisions really fast, a teammate that doesn't give you full info and real-time info and accurate info is lethal to decision. So different points, but we'll come back to kind of, so what I was telling Megan, when we were talking at breakfast is this, like from last week's lip class, we covered a lot. And I know we're saying it's because we haven't taught in 2 weeks, but the reality is we made that whole class in like a day and a half or half a day. And so we have a lot of content. We have a lot more content here, but that doesn't help when we're trying to boil down to what is the bare minimum? How do we help? I was reading through the chat from last week's lip. And what I was telling Megan, what I want to say is, God, everyone has it wrong. They're looking at the whole world with the wrong glasses. I almost want to take everyone's glasses, smash them up and saying that those don't belong in this new world. So you have to think of a new form of glasses. And I'm not saying it has to be VR or whatnot, but every view you're looking at is an ism, is a thought process, is a mental model. It's data points coming from a different world. And so to first understand how it's changed, then you have to understand kind of what role you can play in. So I was trying to figure out, how do I shortchange what we did? And I don't think we're quite there yet, but we're going to take a shot again and see if this helps. There's some good iterations in here. Plus, we had a whole bunch of other topics, which we might do some next week. Yeah. Great conversation with Suo talking about feedback and psychological safety and how everyone has this, my simple French, ass backwards. So but that I think we might not get to today. I have a whole thing about fake vulnerability and how you gaslight by accident. That's a whole nother topic. But I think we're going to skip those because I think there's something much more important here. So we'll come back to those maybe next week.
Yeah, we're trying to get to the root issues.
Yes.
Yeah, those are such cool stuff. We'll do it next week.
So I pulled a slide. This guy, his name is Josh Wakeskin. We met him. We got introduced to him through Jim Lear. Jim Lear coached him when he was a kid. I think it was when he became world chess champion, whatever, number one in the world in chess, and then decided to shift gears and went to Tai Chi, which is a form of martial arts in Taiwan. It was a sport that has a competition every 2 years. And there was a guy in Taiwan who had held a title for 9 years. So, the 10th year, that was every 2 years, right? Josh literally was a geeky chess player, decides that I don't want to try something else and decides to pick up Tai Chi, right? We'll talk about a completely different sport. And in 6 years, he used the same technique he learned in learning to play chess, number one, to become number one in Tai Chi. And in 6 years, he dethroned this national Taiwanese champion. And so in year 10, that would have gone his whatever fifth title.
Yeah.
Josh took it. And he came from like zero, nothing. And so wrote a book called The Art of Learning. I think he spent many years writing this book. But so we got introduced to Josh because Jim Lehrer had trained Josh on his psychology and whatnot. And then there was a 6-month window where he came into our office maybe twice a week, spent all day just kind of exchanging knowledge and training. But so a lot of different deep insights and conversations. But I took a piece out of his book. This is literally my hands holding the book. And I want to read part of this because I think it might help create some of the content for the class. So the highlighted part, he says, while I learned with many open pores, no ego in the way, it seemed that many other students were frozen in place, repeating their errors over and over, unable to improve because of a fear of releasing old habits. When Chen is like the dojo's like master or whatever sensei, made suggestions, they would explain their thinking. In an attempt to justify themselves, they were locked up by the need to be correct. Now, the part I want to emphasize, so that's interesting stuff, right? So just catch yourself when you're trying to like explain, right, why you did something so wrong or so shitty and attempt to justify. It happens to almost all of us. And if you don't actually have it, something's wrong with you. So I think Brene Brown called them like psychopaths or something. Just not good.
Yeah.
But I like this part. He said, I have long believed that if a student of virtually any discipline could avoid ever repeating the same mistake twice, both technical and psychological, he or she would skyrocket to the top of their field. Now realize that this repeating the same mistake, right, is so difficult to figure out what it is because the themes are elusive and difficult to pinpoint. We spent a lot of time. And so when we spent time with him, we called this thematic mistakes. And in fact, we talked about the technical versus the psychological. And this is like over 10 years ago.
At least. Yeah.
And he and I both concluded to the same place. I think Megan, you agree too, that most of the reasons why people failed was not technical. Was not a shortfall of technical skills. It was almost always a shortfall of psychological skills. And that was 10 years ago. And I would argue now with what AI has done and the speed that technology and the ability for technology even to fix itself, almost, I would say approximately 100% of the reasons why people stay lost, stuck, keep losing, is not technical. It's psychological. It's a psychological slip. And when we have dove into the reasons of what drives the psychological slip, the thematic mistake for I think all human beings has to do with fear and ego, and usually in that order. Now, how it shows up for you, where it shows up is going to be different, which is why the precision medicine, precision unlearning, it's unlearning whatever automatic that we tend to do when we have fear triggered and ego triggered. And keep in mind, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but fear is perceived danger. Danger is real. Like when something's on fire, that's danger. You got to put the fire out. You know, when someone breaks a glass on the floor and you're walking around barefoot, right? Just because you like to, like there's danger. Danger is real, but fear is perceived danger in our own head, which means from a scale of 1 to 100, that fear is made up. It's literally made up in my own head. And to know if it actually is danger or not, most of us just awful at accurately predicting the level of danger. Now, when you think about danger also kind of can be looked at both short and long term. Both matter. I think we tend to overweight the feeling of danger in the short term. And this is where a lot of times, like, it feels so crazy scary. And then you think about it, you're like, why was I so worked up about that? Fear is perceived danger. It's self-generated in our own heads. And so through training, you can actually get better at tolerating fear, right? Like fear intolerance is a really, really bad place to be, right? And a lot of us have a lot of fear intolerance. Now, the flip side is ego. Now, ego is a word that most of us hate. So as a result of it, right? And if you hate that word, right? And if someone says, whew, Aruna, you have a lot of ego, right? And if that works you up, I'm like, oh, you got a big problem. And so then if you're like, this notion of recognizing ego is actually an element that protects us because there are bad people out there, right? We need ego to ward off assholes and, like, I don't know, slanderers or whatever you want to call it. But there's a part where when it's overprotective and we don't catch it, it usually is what we call ego. It's kind of nasty, right? It's sort of a nasty version of myself, but I don't really love when my ego flares up. And so then what do most people do? They just double down on them, right? And that's the whole, let me explain to you why I flared up, right? It wasn't me, it was because of you, right? You said something that flared me up, and let me tell you the story that backs that up. And that's why I'm so like, as opposed to the ability to actually build the skills where at any given moment, there's a Columbia professor we did a lot of work with named Hitendra. He would say, just like when you go do yoga and you can downward dog on the spot, can you downward dog your ego, boom, in a snap of a finger? Can you take your fear and can you bring it in check, boom, in a snap of a finger? And most of us can't. And to recognize that's a trainable skill. And it's actually a very important skill. So we talked about this a lot. And there's a nuance here that was interesting in the discussions with Josh. I've seen this. So I'm going to show you my next slide. And so I needed to speak. So it's a little messy because I just wrote it during the class. So let me just explain to you what's on here. So you don't have to read it. If you can, just don't even read it. Because if you read it, it's going to make you.
Before you do it, if I could just, I'm going to interject on the whole fear intolerance and the ego. I think what you're saying is you have to unlearn the automatics that you do, which is like the precision when fear hits, when your ego is triggered, right? I think that's why this work is so hard and part of why I'm in my head too, because it's like you're like, you're with a metacognition, whatever you want to call it, but you're like so hyper aware. You want to get to a place where you're hyper aware of when fear hits, what kind of fear. I mean, there's different kinds of fear, but like what level of fear, and then what kind of habit you do. Like I'll tend to like double down of like other bad things and I'll like pile on, like there's other, but everybody does something a little bit different, you're saying. So it's like to be aware when that fear hits or when your ego is triggered, you double down, dig your heels in.
So there's a piece we'll go into. To me, what's interesting, it's all psychology. The issue thematically is all psychology.
Yeah.
And the key is this, and we said you have to be psychologically, right? Meaning this is not a passive sport. You can't figure out, you can't even get aware of fear or ego by sitting back and just trying to wait for it to come. Right. Watch when it happens, ask someone to remind you, tap you on the shoulder. When your fear and ego triggers, like people are just scared of you. The energy and vibe you have is a little bit of a, just get away from them because it's like a baby who is so, or actually maybe worse than a baby. Think of a rabid dog when they're starving. They'll bite anything they can bite just to eat it. Like just bark at you, pissed off. Like it's kind of like that. When you have those two things, like you are just like radioactive. And so everyone is spending energy to tiptoe around, say walking on eggshells around you. And you don't even realize that. And so as a result, your chance of succeeding goes down to near zero because you're not operating with the best data, the best information. Because like you're just too dangerous. So as a result of it, all you know is what you know. And when fear and ego show up, I mean, what you know gets even worse. So like your ability to make the right decisions, just, I mean, it's like if you had a 50-50 chance, you just literally went to like 0.0001%, maybe pretty much zero, right? And so you're going to do bad.
Yeah, so you're saying it's psychologically active,
meaning, but a lot of us say, "Oh, I'll wait till I."
Yeah, well, you can wait to be triggered by some fear, or wait for your ego to be triggered. But you're saying, I don't know if you're saying like JJ Reps, like you got to go out there and see more of it, right? You want to be able to see more patterns of what you do when fear hits, when ego hits.
So
So we can, whatever, we can table it for now.
No. So Josh Waiskin had a term he created called investment and loss,
Yeah.
or maybe his master Chen guy created it.
Mm-hmm.
An investment and loss is a self-driven investment to do something that's more and more difficult so that you lose, right? You're going to do something more and more difficult. Call it investment. It's an investment, not a forced check you have to write. It's not tuition, right? It's an investment from yourself to actually try to see if I can replicate fear, if I can replicate ego in a constantly increasing standard so that I can, there's, by the way, no endpoint.
Right.
I need to be able to generate it myself so then I can try to work on it. As opposed to the first way most people do it wrong is you just wait till it happens to you. And the problem is because it's in your blind spot, when it happens to you, you're just toast. Again, you're toast and no one can tell you. So then you go through the whole process. You're all ashamed now. And so we know from Amanda, shame, guilt, embarrassment. Yeah, those things get written up like 10 times over. And then you just wait to do it again, right? And you can't get out of this loop. So we spent a lot of time talking about thematic mistakes and how like, this is the key. Let's figure this out. What are they? Whatnot. And it's changed over time, which is what's interesting from 10 years ago. When we were talking to him then, we found confidence and humility and the lack of either one, the imbalance and all these things were the issue. If you are running a model that even you learned from us from 10 years ago, please go like kill it. Because if you are running anything from 10 years ago, you're operating as if the world did not change, right? Like, I hate to tell you, AI is now at your fingertips. It was not available then. It was only for data scientists doing kind of whatever they thought was so cool, but none of us thought was cool. Remember just 10 years ago, if you were a computer science engineer, you were invincible. Like that is the highest paying job. It is literally the worst degree you can get now coming out of school. It is not only super difficult, it is the worst degree you could get. So like, that's changed. And if you think that's not different, right? COVID, right? That changed stuff. There's so many things that have changed. And then it's changing faster. So if you are using something from 10 years ago and you're thinking it's right, like, I don't know how to put it more simply, like, stop doing it. If not, like, you hurt yourself, I mean, hey, keep doing it if that's what you prefer to do. But it's going to be really bad. So, but this is the insight I wanted to share. And that was a nuance that showed up in a lot of number ones. So everyone has their own blind spots. And one of the nuances in number ones that is kind of inherently baked in their assumption, and they're trying to help a lot of other people, but they actually don't see others lacking it or don't know why, is this notion of self-drive to like, I don't know, do impossible, like make the world better or like get, like create, invent, like just do awesome shit. Like we call shockingly cool. It was so innate in them. They don't see that what they're teaching lacks that part in most people. Most people operate.
Usually they assume people are self-driven or they assume some fundamental skill that people have and they don't have it. So
I had this conversation with Josh and he spent time, like every one of them successful. They do like for-profit and do nonprofit helping others. And the biggest frustrations he had on his nonprofit side was, he was like, Charlie, what do you do? You're so freaking not driven. You're just so freaking lazy. What do you do? What do you do? Because don't they drive you nuts? Like they just like want to not lose. They just want to not get in trouble. Not like they don't want to win. What do you do? And that is also a rep skill. We talked about in last lip class, JJ reps and VD reps.
Yeah.
The VD reps is that side, and they're two completely different skills. If you figure out how to reduce your fear and ego, you will not win. I'll say it again. You will not win if you reduce your fear and ego.
Right. Yeah.
You need to do your VD reps and you need to figure out what you want to do and you need to go after something to win. This will prevent you from spiraling and being a pain in the ass to every other human being, including yourself, and just losing definitively. But Like, you will not win just because you master this. This is just defense, right? You know, they always say in a sports game, you play amazing defense. So say the opponent scores nothing, right? So the score is 0 from the opponent, but you score nothing also. So your score is 0, right? And for those of you who think tying, right? Or if you ever play blackjack and you
I
know,
used to say push is a win.
a push is a win, right? That's what Megan would say. We go play blackjack. And I'm like, you think I spent the last 10 hours in the casino so I can just stay in the exact same spot? That's called burnout, right? We're not winning, right? Now, I know it sounds like a gambler, but it's like, no, I have it under control.
10 hours.
Hey, you know,
Expose yourself.
so it's over 2 days. It's not over 1 day. Okay, so let me just explain to you over here, like maybe the 2 most important parts. So we weren't sure what to call this class. If I had to think of the 2 parts I want to say was get the emotion right. This is to win, what you want to do, create, but also know when it's wrong. So get your emotion right, because the emotion is basically psychology. Your emotion precedes what happens next. So get your emotion right to win. So I'm hoping that song did a little something to jar Megan, but like, you know, Greg plays this Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders,
He
like
plays
training song.
Thunderstruck. The cheerleaders come out to every.
So I don't even quite know how to make sense of that, but there's probably some weird.
Apparently, it was like super popular, so they just said do it every game. But it's a great.
Yeah, but I'm saying that was cheerleaders, and Greg's.
The game is full of Dallas Cowboy fans. I mean, it's like.
Yeah, but he's not even a Dallas Cowboy fan.
No, it's not a Dallas Cowboy song.
I know, but I'm just saying. I don't know. There has to be some reason why that song of all songs.
I think the fans liked it and they did it for one dance, and then they said, "Oh my god!"
When you say the fans, Greg's not a fan of the cheerleaders.
No, fans of Dallas Cowboys.
Well, I don't think he's a fan of Dallas Cowboys. So I don't know why, but somehow that's Greg's pump up song, right? But the point is, it's one of the tools he uses to get the right emotion, right? Another thing he used was that little poster that basically said,
like, he used to play before water polo games to set him up in college.
That makes more sense, because I thought it was because of the TV show, and I was like, I didn't even know he watched it.
No, I told him.
Anyway, so
not the
but the point is this: how before you go and invent, before you go and create, before you pursue what you want to do, like as in it's like a stagger step. You know, if you ever do dance class, you know that I don't know why they do this. They say 1 and 2. I'm like, that's 3 to me, but like they say 1, 2.
By the way, it's a 1E and a 2E.
Yeah. So, but it's like, it's that little and, right? Yeah. So it's the before the 2, the and 2. Like, you need to generate the emotion. Now, if you can't do this well, you're going to have it's a 1 A N D, which spells and then if you spell it backwards, it's D N A spelled correctly. The point is, you're going to take a lot of time to generate the emotion, and to recognize if you don't have the right emotion, you're not going to create something good. In fact, you're going to probably create poison. You might even convince yourself, I suck at this skill. I was like, wait, how were you feeling before you did it? See, it matters. Generating the emotion before you're creating something meaningful, something important, something even just not important but fun is going to matter. And so getting the emotion right before you create matters a lot. And flip side, right? Knowing when it's wrong matters a lot too. Because when it's wrong, just like on the upper portion, you cannot create if your emotion's wrong. At least you can create something. You're just going to create slop, right? You're going to create junk. And in fact, this is where we'll talk a little bit about AI. AI is magnifying your ability to just multiply junk. Like, you know, we were just arguing before we got up here about even our own AI coach. And Megan's like, but our AI coach, the posters say if you're stuck, use AI coach. I was like, AI is going to spit back at you whatever rotten crap you put into it. So if you pump in a whole bunch of slop, it's going to come back to you with slop, but times 10. And so then if it keeps conversing with you, you're going to times 100. And if you're wondering why your head's spinning, it's because you fed it crap. So just spit back at you, crap multiplied into like many organoids of crap. Like, that's your fault. You need to get into the right headspace, right? Before you actually create. But on the flip side, when you're in the wrong headspace, when you have the wrong emotion, you're now about to do some permanent damage. Now, how that happens, very creative what people do. But you need to know the right emotion to create and win, but you also need to know when the wrong emotion shows up, or else you're going to just destroy a lot of things. And so I'm sharing this because Josh, being number one in the world, many number ones you've met, they just assume the upper portion's a given. They assume in the upper portion, everyone wants to do that, no? Mm-hmm. So they want to accomplish something in their life, do something meaningful. So the assumption they have is that's a given. And so they focus a lot on the bottom. And not only in helping people, because I see so many people stuck in like, remember we taught a class about the notion of malaise, right? That's malaise and lazy, right? You can get really malaise and be super lazy on top of it. So you get stuck, which is why I like the word malaise, which actually is a Spanish word, but I don't know what it means. But this notion of just the frustration from top, whether it's Larry Bird from the Celtics or even Josh Raskin, like he just sees a lot of malaise. So, the key is to help you fix your thematic mistakes. Right. And as he said in his book, if you fix the thematic mistakes, you'll be number one in the world. Right. And that is not true, right? He's missing the half that he's not seeing, his blind spot. You fix the mistakes, so you do more of the thing on top. Get the right emotion to create and iterate and create. But he sees that as so automatic, most of the work is on the bottom part and sees the frustration surrounding everyone, why most people keep losing or stuck at the bottom. But it's not true. They're two different things. And I can't emphasize enough, they're completely different things. When you're having a breakdown and finding a way to stop yourself, and then like, imagine if you like have a mental breakdown and a physical breakdown. And the thing I like to do when I have a breakdown is jump in my fucking car, right? And drive, right? I just like to drive as fast as I can, as aggressively as I can, right? Can you imagine if people, that's the automatic? I'd have oh my God, have they not arrested you by now? How many people have you hurt or killed, animals, property damage? Like this notion of, that's what happens to a lot of people. Like they just have like an outlet of just when I get triggered like that, I just like to go in my car and I just feels better if I can floor the gas pedal and drive. Or there's a flip side, right? When I get like that, I like to hold my breath, right? I'm just going to freeze, pause and everything, act like life's not going to keep moving on. I'm just going to stay frozen, right? And I'm like, if you held your breath, you're going to die, you know? But they're like, okay, fine, I'm going to breathe, but I'm not going to eat. But I'm like, okay, well, that will last 30 days, you'll die. But I'm not going to drink then. All right, but that will only last 3 days. Like, there's all these things, like, you can't, like, but that's what we do with our mind, right? We get fear and ego, and most of us just decide, that's it. I'm doing nothing, right? Like, that's the whole, I need to take a mental health day and do nothing and whatnot. And so we tend to go, instead of psychologically active, we get psychologically passive. Or we flip-flop to just do destruction, right? And that's the flip-flop we tend to go back and forth in and wonder, which one is it? Should I do something or should I do nothing? Mm-hmm. I'm like, do you recognize when your emotion's in the wrong place because you're about to go do all the wrong things? And both are wrong, right? Freezing is wrong and reckless action is wrong. Like both are wrong. And so, and the reason why this bottom part matters, the thematic 2 errors, is because if you try to create, especially in today's world, you're gonna fail. You're gonna hit roadblocks. You're gonna see things not work out. And when that happens, you're either gonna trigger, most likely fear if you took a big enough shot. If not, you're gonna trigger ego. So you're gonna spiral. Anytime you try to create, you're gonna spiral. Bless you. I try to write up on top, if I think about what I see, and I'm being super generous here, 80-20, like I think most people spend 80% of the time malaising at the bottom and maybe 20% trying to create. I said that's super generous, 95-5, but I think the reality is think 99+% and less than 1% on top, meaning we're spending 99+% of almost all our time just trying to deal with our psychology and thematic like head case. And we're spending less than 1% trying to create something amazing, do something amazing. Like for us, even going to see Arm in his play, that's something amazing. It's stupid, right? I mean, we're not in the business of doing that, right? We're a team of people who flash mob into random plays and bring signs that we make. And then like, no, but that's not what, but it took some effort, right? And it like kind of took effort. It was our team effort that led to then bringing, the spouse in and trying to convince her to not talk to the husband. And then and then it's like all this stuff. And then it like kind of like, and there's many things that went wrong in the process. Like he wouldn't leave because he was trying to say his goodbyes. And then we're like, we don't have time to make signs and, but it takes a lot of effort.
You're saying 99% of people spend their time in the fear, ego work and then not in the creation and just dealing with their psychology. Like 99% of the time.
But the idea of creation is this. So then people are like, well, that's why I like to, doodle, draw, whatnot. I'm like, no, the part with Josh Waitzkin that why he assumed and no one talks about is they want to create like, not just big, but amazing. Like Jim Lear would talk about the notion of full engagement. Imagine if we said, let's go and surprise Aram in his play, but just kind of, hey, Kathy, team, can you just do the bare minimum? Right? Yeah. Let's just do it. Like just enough. Yeah. We have so much to do. Just, how about just do the bare minimum so we can just check off a box. Right? So our time will go in, right? Yeah. Surprise, maybe whatever, like just bare minimum. Right?
Yeah.
Which is what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I mean, think of how many things. And then, by the way, if you're like, no, that's not me. I like to do average on everything. Right? I'm not a bare minimum person. I'm an average on everything. Right?
Yeah.
Like, and by the way, if you're like, how I start everything, I go into AI. I'm like, that's the same as saying average on everything. AI is the largest database of average. Right? So if you're tapping the largest database of average, right? And you're saying, it's told me what to do. I'm like, you're generating more crap the world doesn't need, more average. So how do you choose whatever you do to just make it the best? In the time you spent in whatever the energy, like that's where visceral drafting, this notion of just awesome. I mean, we spent time like literally coordinating to figure out how do we get the people from here? How do we get like, the right number of Ubers and then like, how do we come up with like a playlist? How do we sneak alcohol into this thing, which we found out was possible?
Coconut water, putting pink
and snacks. Yeah. Like, I wanted to bring like some of the stuff from lunch, but they thought that would be weird to bring a Ziploc bag of salmon and chicken, like just extra,
Yeah.
I try to give the guy sitting next to me some beef jerky and snacks, and he's
funny.
I swear he wanted to say yes, but that was different. But I think he wanted the rosé.
But you're basically he didn't know we had rosé.
No, I mean, we looked for a bar afterwards. We're researching. We wanted a place with good music. That was good. But then, like, we had two people.
Just a Thursday night in NYU.
It was like, we knew it was Thursday.
We knew it was Thursday night.
We knew Thursday night 1 month before.
Other places.
That's not true. That was all planned. Like we knew Thursday.
Yeah, no, I know, but I didn't realize it was near NYU. We're all so busy.
Oh, well, I had a rough sense it was around NYU and it'd be busy, but I was like, we can still find enough places in New York because it's kind of like tough times in New York. So how many people are going to be going out crazy like on a Thursday night? And so we had Kathy research, looked around, found some random spots, but some were too far, this and that. So then we're like, oh my God, Fredo and Gio went to NYU, so they know. So they instantly were chatting and figured out a place. But then what happened? The place we went to, it was too packed, right? So they found some other place, and like.
What are you saying, Charlie? Because I've seen, so this makes sense, makes me
every detail
of you.
Sometimes
I'll think this is going to be very honest. Sometimes I'm like, why are we going through so much detail to make something so amazing on stuff that has nothing to do with our business? At times I can get frustrated because I'm like, that's so much energy and effort on. I'm not saying for Aram and I'm just saying in general, my 28 years working with Charlie.
Yes.
Because what you're saying is it's a skill. If you learn it on everything, you could maybe the transference skill. I've also been talking about how transference doesn't work, right? Like on one hand it works, but you always say if you don't have the skill and everything, you don't have the skill. So if you can't transfer it from Aram's play to how to something in the business, you don't have
transference doesn't work when people are unaware.
Okay.
Transference doesn't work if people do not know how to read a situation for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, because new models are going to situations being blind, deaf, and
Well, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean they don't read the situation?
If you don't read the situation, how could you possibly succeed? SED, situational awareness.
Yeah.
If you're like, well, I thought the world was full of certainty.
Okay.
Well, I thought I thought everyone was supposed to show up, right? Like, this whole idea of like, we use it as a little test in our community. Who would actually even bother to buy a ticket to go, right? I mean, our team, we bought tickets for David's and Geo's and whatnot, but like, we were like, I wanted to see, right?
Yeah. I bought it in the first 6 minutes.
Thank you. So Suo wants a pat in the back. Yeah. But no, but I'm saying like, just there was many things to try. Do you remember the sign in our old gym in the wall? There was a huge saying on top. Remember what it said? Does anyone remember what it said? Our old office gym.
I don't think high school.
No. Do you remember what it said right at the top? The huge block letters in the gym. Every one of you.
Gym?
Yes, but in the actual gym, physical gym.
Okay, right.
Yes.
Yeah. Look at you.
Everyone in our office, everyone was working out 3.5 times a week on average, every week. So should have seen it. Right?
Do it right or don't do it at all, which I'm just saying, stay on the hour and play, just as an example. And then you said, but you have to learn how to ramp it up to stuff that matters in your life to like performing your mission and what you need to get done.
Which we'll get to.
Okay. But you're saying people can't do that because they're not situationally aware of,
well, no, I said, they're not self-aware or situation aware.
Okay.
But
if they can do it on that.
Do it on what?
Hours play.
Okay. When you say they, who's they? Because the person who drove it
I see
would have to be that alert, that aware of not only every detail, but also the speed and the nuances, the moving targets, and every piece that's going wrong as you go along. I mean, the guy won't leave the place, right? He's like hanging around. We're like, you got to go to a play. He's like, and everyone can slip. And there's like, there's so many things going wrong. Thursday night.
If you can do it there, you can do it anywhere because it's the
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this notion of when I think about the skills on top and what we put in our old gym, right? I mean, it was literally there for everyone to see every day. Do it right or don't do it at all. That was a phrase that probably came shortly after meeting Jim Lear when he talked about full engagement. He shares a story of like, all these parents, I got to go watch my kids play, right? And of course, like the busy parent, and usually it's I think the dads are the ones who are seen as the a-holes, right? So like they're there watching the kid playing, say soccer, right? Or football if you're in England, but and they're on the phone, right? Or in this case, they were in his example, when he told us they're talking on the phone, but they could be like doing email and stuff. They're on the phone. The only time they look up is when the whistle blows, right? Yeah. So the only time they look up is when there's an error. Like they're not paying attention. If you're going to show up at the game, get fully engaged, right? Yeah. Make some posters, right? Like cheer, champion. You don't have to be that crazy parent, but like get engaged. You're there already. You know how many people have meetings with people or time in anything and just half-ass it?
Yeah.
As opposed to, remember the whole Rob from the Navy SEALs, full benefit. Whatever you're doing, why wouldn't you get the full benefit? It's the same thing as saying fully engaged. It's just the same as saying, if you're going to do something, do it right or don't do it. Say no, save your time. Don't do more half-ass shit. It's just not worth it. And that's something that Josh just assumed, right? And most number ones assume, why would anyone want a crate slot? Why would you actually be somewhere but not be engaged? Mm-hmm. And so that was the inherent assumption they made. And then one of our investors is Chris Birch, who created Tory Burch. It was like my wife actually wrote the business plan for that. It's a long story, but then they had a messy divorce and all this stuff. But Chris is still an investor of ours. But he would always say when we met him, anything great is repeatable. See, anything great you do is repeatable, even if it's on how we got a team to go and surprise someone in Aaron's play. Now, what does that mean? Oh, we should go to more plays and more art shows. I was like, I'd rather shoot my brains. I'm sorry, Alan, but no. But the concept of being able to build a team that rallies around, supports each other, that has some fun elements of surprise, but the intricate details. I mean, we spent time thinking of even how to get the playlist right or songs to have a jamming session in our Uber and all the stuff, like every detail, right? And I don't know what the other 3 Ubers were like, but maybe you guys weren't as good as ours, and that's because your skill's not there. So
Shots.
But some of you may have made a playlist and hit play. We were changing it live, right? Including recommendations and suggestions. And so I'm saying there's a constant level ups.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that whole point was That's a skill. I know it looks like, no, okay, fine. If I didn't do work and just spend time doing that, I'm like, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You're saying,
I don't
you
know.
said if I had the time to do that, I could have done that well. And I agree with you. That's not true. You either have the skill or you don't. I agree.
Which means it's active.
Right.
It's active.
Wait, what do you mean it's active?
It's psychologically active to figure out how to generate the emotion to then go create what you want, to iterate and iterate as things go wrong everywhere, to still stay in the game and iterate, because in the process you will flip to, oh God, why do you even do this? This sucks. Oh my God, like everyone sucks and this sucks and everything's going wrong, which is where fear or the ego comes in. Now I'm embarrassed. I'm looking like, why did I even do this? Now I told everyone it'd be fun. It's not fun, right? I mean, what kind of play has like that many rhinos in one play? I mean, it's like we didn't bring enough wine. I mean, I don't know what goes wrong, but like there's like a whole bunch of stuff. The director of the play, I agree with you, Aaron, was a complete like douche. And so like that, like it kind of leads to like a, oh my God, I don't even like this group. And I don't know. It's like, there's a lot of stuff that goes wrong.
Yeah.
But how do you snap out of that and reduce the time spent down there to go back on top and say, okay, how do we make something great happen? And iterate, right? The place we wanted to go, we walked. It's freezing cold that night, right? I think it was cold, but was full. We're like, oh God, so we're going to go to our second choice. And you go, it's like not as fun. But we're like, can we make it fun? I don't know. Like, there's all these things. Like, you just iterate. Like, that's a skill. How do you spend, like I said, less than 1%, which is too elite, but maybe even imagine if you spent 20% of your time down in the bottom, because you're training it so it's like you can recover out of that death spiral faster and pop back on top. And so when I get stuck, right, in creating something and something gets difficult, instead of spiraling out, right, I can actually get out of that bottom portion faster, go back up, bring the same energy, full engaged, right? Like, and keep creating. That's the part that, now I put this here, which is kind of not so important, but I want to chat on this. So this was actually from way back. It just happens to be on our wall in our office.
Do you want to pause? Sorry.
Oh,
You
sorry.
had a bunch of questions. Do you want to, Rona?
No.
Do you want to ask Rona? Like, and then before we move on? Or
Okay, no, I know what the question is. Is it a good question?
Did you?
Here,
Okay.
I have three slides, and then we can ask questions. Okay, so I said the new environment, right? And so I mean, literally, we had written this up on our wall like 7 years ago, or I can't remember, but I can't believe how close it is. But the new environment is filled with two things: chronic uncertainty, unpredictable stress. And they're two different things, right? Chronic uncertainty is just truly like, I don't know, right? All the time, though. Unpredictable stress means you don't know when bad news is going to hit you, right? Something negative, something bad. It's like, if you knew, that means it was predictable. So it's unpredictable. And this combo of things creates all kinds of horrible emotions, right? Embarrassed, guilt, shame, fear, anger, sadness, confusion, overwhelmed, and it leads to feeling helpless, hopeless, right? Sorry, did I spell it all that right? It's impossible to bother, but that feeling in sum total in psychological research is what they call deprivation curiosity. Everyone talks about how curiosity is so important. It's the new important skill. It's the precursor skill and gene to learn, right? If you want to learn something, you have to genuinely be curious, not like fake curiosity. But the problem is this: there's a dark side of curiosity. Like, it's like you want to be like a Jedi master, you can turn out to be a Sith Lord, or you can turn out to be Darth Vader. Like, that same thing of curiosity has a flip side. And when you don't realize that, wait, I am not using the Force, for those of you who like Star Wars, as in good, I am actually on the dark side. That means every single piece of curiosity I am looking for information and data is making me more and more evil, more and more spiraling. You will get to a really bad place very fast. So when you are in that dark side, just to be able to recognize it is so hard to do. Now, this is the little animation I put. You can see, right? Kind of see the word on my screen, I can.
Yeah.
So I just deleted the word on on uncertainty and deleted the word unpredictable. So when you are messed up in your head and living life the wrong way in the new world, you're thinking chronic certainty, right? I kind of know,
Yeah.
right? Like as opposed to I don't know. And predictable stress, I know when bad things are going to come, right? I'm good at predicting, right? You actually walk around thinking with certainty and thinking predictable.
Yeah.
Now you might say, I knew it was going to be bad. I'm like, really? Because if you knew it was going to be bad, can you get into bulleted details? Because we could have prevented it. Or are you the only asshole on the team who knew something bad was going to happen and saw the specific issue and didn't do anything to prevent it? Or did you only generically throw the word, I knew it was going to be bad, so that I can sound egotistically correct that I'm so good at predicting? Well, if it's chronic uncertainty, unpredictable stress all the time, chances are you're going to be correct, right? I knew Trump presidency is going to be bad, right? I knew going to war is going to be bad. I was like, really? I don't know. Things haven't played out. You don't know. But if you guess bad, you can say, wow, I'm like 9 out of 10, right? In my life, I'm like 99 out of 100. My skills and prediction are so good, right? I can just tell you bad. And so for those of you who think you're so good at predicting bad, right? Please go and don't risk a lot, but maybe like $1,000 or something, and just bet on the stock market. You know, you can bet on stocks going down. So if you are very good, I just so you know. So before you, sorry, I just heard it and I'm like, holy shit. Yeah. The most money I've ever lost in the stock market is shorting stocks. So predicting when you go bad. Just so you know, when you buy a stock and predict it's going to go up, your loss is limited to what you invest. When you bet on a stock going down, there is no end to how much you could lose. So literally, instead of 1,000 loss, you could end up losing 100,000. It happens so fast. So, yes, my point is this: if you think you're so good at even predicting loss, like I never go gambling because you always lose. Guess what? In the casino, you can even bet on craps, like crapping out. You can bet in certain games, like being the dealer. You can literally bet.
Yeah.
If you just are good at getting accuracy, if your crystal ball of negative prediction is that good, you can make a shitload of money, right? So try it. And what you might realize, if you don't lose all your money, is that it's fucking hard. The reason it's unpredictable, because it's unpredictable. So if you find yourself so obtusely certain and so obtusely thinking predictable bad, which is stress, like it's a signal that you are living in 2015. You're living maybe in 2005, right? And so if you want to know why you are stuck, complacent, keep losing, maybe because you're not realizing the world changed. So I don't know if this part makes sense, but this is to me one of the top red flags and litmus tests I look for. When I want advice from someone, I want to know someone knows this and can demonstrate it with bullets and examples. But when they start acting like this, I have oh God, here I go, right? Speaking to a drunken fool who's dying to spew out their knowledge and stuff. And oftentimes, like, they're just so wrong. So the places they have certainty, I'm like, is usually where the most dangerous, because there's a lot of unknown. The places they're predictable, I'm like, oh my God, watch out for all the blind spots. And so then I adjust, right? But like, they're like lethal. And so if you want to add value as an individual, as a human being, you have to realize this changed, right? This is the new norm, not this. So, and you can see this around people around you. Now, when you have deprivation curiosity, this is what happens. Top thematic mistakes, right? Fear and ego is like fuel into deprivation curiosity. Oh, sorry. You know what? This is like how annoying AI is. I had to argue with it forever. Change the direction of the arrows. It's not moving. And so I had to, I mean, you have no idea how many times I fought with it.
So
it was like yelling at an intern who literally was like, I went to Harvard though. I'm like, one, go to 2 to 3, change the direction of the arrows. I was like, you know what? Sometimes it's easier to do that. So
just PowerPoint.
I mean, I was like, Jesus, right? That's how smart AI is, right?
Yeah.
So and then I realized, wait, why am I fighting with this?
Yeah.
Thing? I just had to go do that.
Do it. Yeah.
So again, judgment. deprivation curiosity, right? When you're in that mode, it's a dark side of curiosity. You're going to glom on to the wrong info. So you get distorted sense making, as in you're making sense of what's happening just in a real messed up way. And that leads to bad decision making. And some people say, you know what? I don't make a lot of decisions. I just do a lot of distortion. And I was like, when the distortion rises enough, you will make a bad decision. Or if you're startled, do you ever do one of those things where I don't make any decisions until someone says, you better do something now. And then suddenly you do something, or something like happens. It's an emergency. And then you go act. And you wonder, why did I make so many bad calls? I was like, because you've been storing up distorted sense making. So the hard part to get to, my fancy animation. When you have that, literally stop, right? Do not enter this danger zone. Now, 3 is easier for people. 2 is much harder. How do I stop my brain from the distorted sense making? I mean, my mind's just thinking, right? I'm observing data points, right? Well, y'all, it is hard. I'm not going to say it's so hard, but I'm hoping that you at least walk away realizing, right, that that is a hard skill to build. Oh, no.
Oh, no. You didn't plug it in here.
That's plugged in. Sorry.
Neither is mine. Oh, it's not on.
Oh.
Stupid. I got it. I'm on the case.
This is where Tom is not here. We plugged in, but without turning it on.
Sorry, now we have a.
Okay.
I didn't realize mine was chill. Okay. How to
This
stop
is a
your
skill.
brain, right? You were just saying,
It's a
how do you
theme-
stop your brain from the distorted sense making? You're saying that's a really hard skill to learn. Sorry, before you move on, that's what you were saying. That's a really hard skill to learn, to stop the distorted sense making. That is probably the most important step right there, right? Because when you do that, even in that moment.
By the way, important step, just so you score 0.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Keep this in mind.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
to score 0. Right? 0.
Right.
Right. And you die when you score 0. Right? As in, that's not what life's about. But this is way harder, and people way underestimate how hard this is. And it's, once again, an active skill, right? You have to go and do stuff to generate your own fear and your own ego so that you can see, oh my God, I did it again. Ideally on something less important, and then notch up to something important, because that's where it's going to really matter. You can't go around just surprising friends on plays randomly and then going on Ubers and go to bars after. It's like you're going to do really bad in life, right? I pulled a slide, it was on my wall too. There was a woman who wrote a book about this, but I thought it was neat, where same idea here, by the way. You know, the counter agent to anxiety, which is kind of coming above all else from the top 2 thematic things, is actually a thing on the right side: creating, wanting, inventing, right? So think about what the left side is, and often what anxiety can even be looked at. I'm focused on not losing. I am brainstorming ways to not lose. I am brainstorming ways to not get in trouble. I am constantly puzzling and thinking about how to not look like an idiot, right? That's the left side. The right side's totally different. I'm focused on winning. I'm brainstorming ways to win. What little extra thing would have been like better? And someone says, oh, it's just about money. You got to throw money in there. I'm telling you, no amount of money makes things great. In fact, that's one of the biggest misnomer crutches. Money is an accelerator to something that already is great. It's actually human thinking. You have to be able to think correctly. So I had a whole bunch of I had 40 other slides I could dive into on this topic. Megan had do this, attack it, go after it, right?
It was the same thing that you're
Same
saying,
idea,
yeah.
right? Get out of your own
Yeah.
way, must be psychologically active versus passive. Sorry, I'm just going to rifle through some other stuff and then we can go to questions. But there was this awesome thing I saw from Mark Andreessen tweeted this thing. I don't even know.
I had it at the top.
I had it somewhere.
This was the
Page
page 32. No, something different. That was sorry. That was,
it's
14, 15.
14, 15, where is it? No. Shit, where did I put it? It was around how emotions are
The truth. Oh, the emotions aren't truth. It's 1551.
I think it was this. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, he shared this thing from his therapist. I've never heard of this. I'm sure, Amanda, you know this more, the Alderian demolition or
So Alfred Adler.
Adler.
Adler is like a famous psychologist from
I assume
forever
it's
ago.
kind of known.
Yeah.
But it was all around this notion that emotions are actually tools, not truths, that they're manufactured by the individual, as in you're creating the emotion. They're not merely experience. And it's useful for an individual's movement towards his goal. So Adler says you create anger because anger is useful to you. It justifies your behavior. It dominates the room. It moves others out of your way. So this notion of like, wait, you can generate emotion as a tool. And so I tweeted this back then. I thought this is one of the things. Depression is a form of hesitation. It's a self-manufactured state that allows the individual to delay engagement with three fundamental life tasks: work, love, and community. It's kind of interesting. You know, sometimes when you need to go slower, generate depression, you will hesitate. It's like, oh, there are times where you need to go slower, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure you've gone, it's been a while for me, but like you go to a bar or something and you meet someone, you're like, oh my God, like I got to get married and have children with this person. Maybe you need depression to slow it down. And to realize maybe like kind of having coffee or dinner would be the better place to start. Right. And then you have dinner and you're like, oh my God, we got to go have babies now. I'm like, wait, maybe you need depression, meaning you can generate the emotion. And what's interesting is this, the ability to build emotional control. So when you know how to generate the emotion to invent and create, but when bad emotions come, you can identify it and you can stop it before it makes you go and start to store all kinds of stories and meaning and narratives, and then go and eventually lead to bad decision making. That ability to have emotional control, emotional awareness, emotional control. I think it was this thing that talked about how it's an active state. Right? I think that's where you got this, right?
Yeah,
The
psychologically active. Yeah.
And the other piece I'll add, I actually love this. I put this in before, kind of tied to this whole thing. So the arrows fixed and stuff, right? Is it says the rarest mental strength today in psychology isn't resilience or grit. And that's been overdone. It's actually being able to sit in uncertainty. Like something reveals something else more than any other measure. And so it was all about like the fear of unknown or the fear of not knowing. The ability to remain in uncertainty without reaching for a solution is not a passive state. It's a psychologically active one. To tolerate emotional discomfort without treating it as an emergency, right? Without constructing a premature narrative, the self-regulation to resist the pull of behaviors that offer immediate relief but prevent genuine processing. Said cognitive strategies like worry and rumination, they create this illusion of doing something when a situation like you just had to be able to wait, which is really hard to do. So we tend to label and then confirm bias, feed, tell someone else about it. And then because they're too scared, because they can feel your energy, which is you're full of danger. And so they just kind of either coddle you, agree with you, and feed into it more. So like it just kind of gets worse and worse. There's so much more we want to cover. I wanted to touch on a few more things real quick. Sorry.
Let me give you some questions and kind of open it up.
So this traveled a lot, talking about, the most valuable human being now is someone who knows what to do. Same as saying, not what to do, but the simple, what do you want to do? What do you mean? Like, as in right now, later, like in life, like for you, for me, like simple question. What do you want to do? That notion of that's creating, that's wanting. That comes with human judgment. It includes wisdom. This is the most important skill. It's a skill. It's a rep skill. And most people aren't good at it because they don't realize it's a skill. And so you need to rep it. X Prize founder Peter Diamandis was talking about how schools are all broken. And some of you care a lot about schools. And I promise you, all the schools are broken and still will stay broken for a while. Nobody still believes me fully. Helping kids develop as entrepreneurs rather than employees. I like the idea. They have no idea what they're talking about. When you look at kids, like once again, the whole part about being an entrepreneur is the dreaming, right? Children can dream because they haven't faced reality yet, because they don't have to pay for anything, right? So it's great. They're so full of energy and dreams because they don't have to do shit, right? Once they have to pay for rent, right? Or maybe see friends going out to dinner and you can't go, right? Because you don't have a job. Maybe you won't be so entrepreneurial suddenly. Can you though? Can you still in that moment find the energy? Can you find the way to want to create? Or when you start spiraling into your negative spiral of fear and ego, are you able to see that, wait, that's human for one, but I can recognize it and I don't have to drive, right? Like, I don't have to like keep driving. I can stop and then I can actually find ways because I've been repping my JJ reps, right? I can get better. There was so just real quick, not real quick, but there's one last piece. I just want to add about AI. So one of the questions that came after the cast, I put mentee, but I could put lib community. I don't know what you want to call it. Think of everyone as a mentee in some ways, what's in our community, but then maybe that's me just being too arrogant. So sorry, community member. For clarity in your new model, is the human generated idea likely coming from one person into AI? Hence, the human idea should be born extremely quickly and pass through AI even faster, right? I think a lot of us think this, right? Like I'm trying to like bounce it into AI like quick because it's so much knowledge. My visceral reaction was AI is tapping into the largest database of slop. The majority of the internet is slop/mediocre work. So if the human idea solo is passing, pinging AI too quickly, I don't think good things will happen. If you don't know what you want to do and you ping AI, AI will magnify your confusion times 10. And if you keep interacting with it, it will go times 100. And then you keep going further and you wonder, how do I ever get out of this mess? And this mess that was generated by you choosing to keep driving into it. So add a bunch of things. I don't know if you saw this. There was an article that said AI is actually making people more miserable. The intensity of work is increasing, not reducing. They were talking about, so kind of everyone is looking at this from the wrong lens. Industrial age, as in the relic of the old way, human in the loop, is grinding, long hours, concentration from 9 to 5, all-nighter, sit in place and work, old and broken. The information age, the new upgrade way of human in the loop, is working like a lion, burstiness versus grazing like a cow, working in mental and physical oscillations. Breakthrough thinking doesn't occur from more hours sitting in place. There's a new way to work to optimize human thinking. Otherwise, not surprisingly, we're seeing the old way to work show up using new tech as an AI. Brain fog, AI sloppy brain, mediocre thinking, longer hours chained to our AI tool, phone, desktop, laptop. Exciting times, what used to work doesn't, and a new way unknown to many of us is being created and invented, but the old way has to fully break before change occurs. Most human beings hate change, right? So according to history, that's kind of what happens. And it's breaking, it's not fully broken yet. And some of you may think it's broken. Trust me, it gets way worse, usually before it gets better. Yeah, what was LLMs keep telling people to break? Oh, this is interesting. To give you a sense of how much slop. No, this is really good. So you chat with LLMs. They're telling, as an AI, they're telling people to break up. In almost every relationship advice, break up.
It's easier.
And here's the reason why. If you go into Reddit, this is the data graphed over time, 15 years in Reddit, almost 2 million comments on relationship advice. The red bar on top is to end up and break the relationship, divorce, break up, cut. You look at all the communicators in blue is going down, give space and time, green's going down. And then what's the compromise is like low, like way low. And then the other, what the hell's the other? But that's like virtually nothing, right? That's the advice. The one that's going up highest is the red. So this person asked AI, tell me why this is the case. And this is what it said. The reason why LLMs are biased towards leave, as in break up, the training data is saturated with Western therapeutic culture that centers around individual boundaries and self-protection. You don't owe anyone anything is the dominant advice-giving frame online. It's safer for me to say leave than stay in something hard. If I say stay and it goes badly, that's worse than saying leave and you miss out. And by the way, you'll never know what you missed out on. right? And by the way, breakup is a lot cleaner. Clean advice is easier than messy advice. Leave is a cleaner answer. Stop doing it. Just bail is much cleaner. So here's how to navigate an imperfect person in an imperfect situation while protecting yourself. It's much harder to generate that well. The most valuable things are built through exactly the kind of grinding adjustment you're describing, but it's talking about how it's all optimizing for individual optimization, never for team, never for community, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, cool in the sense of you can see, duh, that's what's
Yeah.
happening. This is what I wrote to it. I wrote, fascinating and makes sense. AI gives safer, easier, cleaner, blunt advice. But real life is messy and requires hundreds of thousands of iterations. Reminds me of this image. Simple but wrong, huge lines on the left, complex but right. Nobody wants to walk that path. Yeah, so that was the, so here's something that Megan and I chose to do. Coming back to this HMC, human machine community. This might sound a little arrogant, but I do think Megan and I are probably the best decision makers that are out there in understanding the skill and rep, and we're in the top field at least. And so we've used AI for simple things, but not for real, like serious things, building and serious. So we decided this week we're going to learn to not only code with AI, we're going to learn to do all jobs you can imagine with AI. And we're doing it, but also with the intention to teach it. So we're going to train people how to do that. So learning to teach it. Gary Tan, he's the CEO right now of Y Combinator, the biggest, and there was a whole write-up because he's been sharing oh my God, this AI coding thing is unbelievable. And he had a whole argument online about how CEOs have to learn how to code with AI. And then someone's like, no, CEOs don't need to do that. They should delegate it. And he's like, I disagree. Their whole argument. And he's saying he's so excited, the power of AI. He's sleeping 4 hours a night because he's like so excited for what the AI has done. He's calling it AI obsession, right?
Psychosis.
And then he shared online kind of what he's doing. So he says, hi, I'm Gary Tan. I'm president of Y Combinator, right? I've worked for thousands of all this stuff. Let's see, what do you say? I'm just reading parts of it quick. Just talks about his background and whatnot. I'm in the middle of something that feels like a new era entirely. In the last 60 days, I've written over 600,000 lines of code, production code, 35% tests, and I'm doing 10,000 to 20,000 usable lines of code per day as a part-time part of my day while doing all my duties as CEO of Y Company. That is not a typo. My last, /retro developer stats in the last 7 days across 3 projects, 140,000 lines of code, commits. He's graphed in the map, what he's doing with the dawn of something real, one person shipping at scale that used to require a team of 20. So then he went and he open sourced what he's doing. He's saying his psyche is so amped up working with AI agents, it's natural insomnia. He has what he called 10 AI agent workers, and then he gave all of it so you can basically borrow his workers in essence. He's now up to 13, right? Since he had first published it, it's all available online. But I have a thesis that he's doing this ass backwards. Now, I might look like a fool for saying it that way. I think he's trying to use the new tech to run industrial age. He's managing 13 workers now and growing. And he went and created all these job descriptions of each worker. There's a CEO worker, an end manager, a senior designer, a design partner, a staff engineer, release engineer, QA lead, QA reporter, designer of codes, session manager, end manager, technical writer. And I like movies, so life doesn't always work out this way, but I think about Iron Man, Tony Stark. Can you imagine him having Jarvis 1, Jarvis 2, Jarvis 3, Jarvis 4 versus I'm just going to use Jarvis. Now, I'm going to tell Jarvis to go do what I needed to do. But if I have to go and now tightly define the job functions of each of the things, am I not building an assembly line, right? Of kind of passing one thing to the next, and then what? When something goes wrong, am I going to blame the QA lead AI agent? Right. As opposed to no, AI is going to do all of it. It doesn't need to be partitioned so that's my thesis, that I think they're doing it wrong. But as of right now, I see a lot of people are creating AI agents. It's like having multiple workers instead of workers. It's AI people. Solopreneurs, as in entrepreneurs, one person with AI is I have basically 10 people working for me. Yeah. They're all agents. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just use one
Mhm.
AI? So I believe the thesis is wrong, but we'll find out as we go and master this. So we took something from last week. We said the hackathon, what I think is wrong in the hackathon. And then kind of like once you do something intense like the hackathon, it creates a list of all the skills that you lack. I don't know how to prototype. I don't know how to code with AI. I don't know how to do great presentations, business plan writing. I don't know how to deal with conflict and feedback and brainstorming and all the stuff. Then you combine it with this whole HMC, human machine, before getting the community. We started developing in parallel a 3-month leadership academy as opposed to one. We've always done one. The idea of 3-month is think of 3 different sessions, 2-day sessions. It might go 3, but they're happening back to back 3 months. And the reason is we think it's going to take more than 1 month of training. But unlike most things, this is the way I'm thinking of building. It starts with 100 people. We get rid of the 70 worst. We keep only the 30 best who are training the hardest. Of that, we get rid of 80% down to 6. In each progressive state, we're going to teach higher levels of the human skill, but also higher levels of how to code and use AI. And so by the time you're at the tail end, now you're moving and you're refining the skill. I look at the hackathon. I think if we did that, at the end point, you would have seen a lot better quality of what's left. Oh, I like this. It was from
Bobby Knight.
Oh, yeah. Quote from Bobby Knight. The key is not the will to win. Everybody has that. It's the will to prepare to win that is important. What people don't have is the will to practice. The idea of you need to practice not only the bottom tier, right, of knowing when you're wrong and how to reduce that time, Matthew, but also knowing how to practice getting the right emotions to win.
Actually, that's teeing up, I think, there's questions in the chat too about what's the right emotion and everything. It's interesting. It reminded me last week I had a slide on recapping our PEMS framework, right? The physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, which we've added social on the side and adding fun into it. I mean, that is an element of preparedness, right? Like, which is separate, I think, to your point, from JJ reps, VD reps, but that I would consider in that emotional bucket. But it is important, right? Like you have to constantly be thinking about, am I training across all of this? I mean, the arm play example that for us was in the helping others, spiritual part, right? But you have to be training physical, emotional, mental all the time, plus social, adding fun. It's like a lot of stuff to get right. Like it's kind of like
But the way I look at it,
any segment, even in physical, there's many different
when
things.
we work with Jim Lear, when we work even with this guy, Peter Gorman, when he came to us, the PEC, remember, like even Josh Wakeston, all agree that emotional is where it all falls apart. That's where you need the most training. It's where most people have the least training. It's where most of it falls apart. So you will hit emotional whenever you try anything difficult. But like that alone is not enough. You will score 0, right? But at least you won't be minus 100 points. You'll be at 0. You need a totally different emotional training to create, to invent. I mean, Kathy, you've seen it even since the brief conversations of your goal of wanting to build a #1 community. Does it not feel more energized?
It does.
Like a different mission, no?
Yeah, it does. I was just thinking about that. The whole having something that you want to do and how for the longest time, like I was lacking that. It wasn't clear. I felt like I narrated it like I needed something like big, I needed like the #1 community. And I think that came, but even just the weekly practice of like, what do I want to do this week at Code Thursday? Like of just having like, what do I want to do for the icebreaker? Like was helping me tap into like the what do I want to do, which for the longest time, like I didn't have any clarity on, but it was something I was talking about with Laura this week of like, what do you actually want to do? Because then otherwise I am spending more of my time. I'm like, how do I feel today? What am I thinking? I feel like shit. It's like, this week is going to be hard versus like, that energy didn't have anywhere else to go.
Can I add this piece? This is from last week's class. For those of you who didn't attend, sorry, it's like so overwhelming. There's a funny joke on finger doctors, so don't take offense to this, but if you do, like, just watch last week's class. The hackathon, this idea in the arena is like having a mission, right? That matters. And the mission is not yourself. If the mission becomes about yourself, you become, what's that word Renee used again? Not sociopath, is it sociopath?
I think so, yeah.
Sociopath, psychopath, either way, same thing, right? That just sucks, right? Don't do that. You need something worthy on the outside. And by the way, also I put over here, so this was some of the additions we added. a lot of finger doctors giving finger doctor advice. So just watch out for that. We're surrounded by that, right? But I added this blue box. I think Claude in the last week or 2 weeks or a few weeks has even created the ability where you don't have to even type. You can just talk. So you know what happens when you get good at visual drafting, as in what you want to do? You can literally just have AI run on the side and it will just invent shit for you as it listens to what you want to do. Like it might be crap to start, but it will get better and better. And so as you speak on what you want, the AI can literally, even as of now, they've released a version that can just build in parallel to you. Whatever it thinks it might be fulfilling the master's need, which is the human, by the way, not AI. Like that's how rapidly it's getting to that Tony Stark kind of like, I'm just speaking. If you watch the movie, he's just thinking out loud. He's yelling at Jarvis and saying, Jarvis, do this, do that, right? Yeah. Make it cooler, right? Remember the whole thing when you changed the color of the Iron Man costume from this ugly metal to like make it look like a roadster, right? The part that was nuanced in this from last week that people probably didn't pick up is the word speed and VD and the word speed and JJ reps. So if you don't do speed, you're not training your judgment. If you go slow, right? You are actually training yourself becoming a finger doctor and using your logical thinking, which AI is going to trump any chance you have of doing that. And so it's uncomfortable to do these things with speed on both sides. What do you want to do? Well, can I think about it? Can I? No, right now. You have 5 minutes. Go. Draw it. Explain it. Boom. Like you should be able to do that. Not to start though. You're going to have to ramp up. And you're going to be like, well, I like to go and help everyone in our community get surprised and whatever they're doing, and I will show up. I'm like, okay, but like, can we actually ramp up to something that matters more than that? Because your job isn't that, right? You want to do something more meaningful than that, unless that is your job. And then you can just rally people to come to protests and whatever you want, and you get paid for that. Fine. There's a job probably for anything. But generally speaking, it's something you want to ramp up to important. The JJ reps, one of the biggest mistakes I saw from last week. Everyone's trying to take something really meaningless and easy and do it really slowly. I'm like, you're supposed to do that so that you can get to what matters, not like I go really slow and something that doesn't matter. You're supposed to train up so that you get to a place where like you can actually deal with the emotion of fear and ego when it shows up in stuff that matters, right? Not on stuff that doesn't matter. So most people, what I saw from last week was having Figo and ear show up. Figo show up on stuff that doesn't matter. And why did that happen? Fear is perceived danger. They narrate it up, right? How important this is. And now I'm going to look stupid and no stuff. I'm like, oh my God, you are so busy putting your fingers in the wrong holes, right? It's really bad. Sorry, questions?
Really, if you didn't.
I don't know if anybody.
It's very confusing.
Anybody on the Zoom? We got the London office. I don't know if got some friendly faces in there. Weiwei never knows how to unmute, but if he does.
This is great. You guys can plan on it. I just want to make one point of just observation, I should say, on that what you want, because it's such an important piece, and I think a skill to like be able to get comfortable with it. One thing that I've observed, and it can be easy to do, is what do you want for someone else to do? And we get very vocal on it. It's like, I want that. But really, if you play it out, it's like, but really, I want somebody else to go do it versus it's like a gut check time when I'm like saying what I want to do. And like, it's like the way you kind of announce, like, I'm going to teach kind of AI and do it. Like, that's with an air of like, I'm going to go learn that and kind of do it. That's what I want. And there are times when to say like, I'm going to give you a recommendation. This is what I like, especially if you're on a team. But I think more often than not, I've seen people be quite, when they start this, they're quite out loud about really what they want other people to do. And it can be very fooling and frustrating because they're not really intentional that they're going to do it.
You know what's interesting is this. You're absolutely right that everyone likes to start with other people first, right? And then you'll see, because it's somebody else that you're trying to shove to stick their neck out, this emotion doesn't show up in the right way either. instead of actually triggering fear and ego, which is what shows up when you try to do anything difficult as a human being, you end up having this condescending finger wagging tone of, I don't know why you don't do that, why you don't do that. And which is why I emphasize the watch out for finger doctor advice. Like to me, finger doctor advice is someone who doesn't stick their neck out, is giving all kinds of advice on either side, right? Of how to create or even how to deal with sort of the negative spiral. And they're just really good at telling everyone not only to go and do good stuff on mission, but also give advice on how to perform as human beings. So this notion of, I want to always take advice from someone who is on mission themselves, who is actually in the process generating the genuine sort of challenging emotions that come up, fear and ego, right? And then genuinely repping and working on it, and then going back and that notion of like, you want to be in the arena with that, right? I was telling Megan this morning, like kind of the whole, I always talk about, the movie 300, the Spartans. I want a team of Spartans around, right? Not just because they're better looking and muscled and, just sound like and look like cool and attractive, but like, just that's what it's about. You have those, you can go and do anything. Yeah. But when you have a whole bunch of like, well, I'm about like telling the Spartans what to do. Those are the politicians, no? Even in the movie, they're the ones who like to argue about what you can and can't do, right? And that's what people get to. I want people in the arena, like trying to actually create and then dealing with the challenges that show up when you try to do something difficult and then figuring out how to train themselves, which is why like they're in love with the training, right? Like as much as mission is important and they love the mission, they're like equally in love.
Yeah, they keep getting out on the training.
Yeah.
I'm growing.
The practice, right? You were saying like medical practices.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because like they always say like doctors they have a practice, lawyers are practicing. But leadership, we're practicing all the time, right? It's like a never-ending practice, right? But it seems like you're supposed to. That's helping. Actually, that's a good. We talked about that yesterday. It's good for mindset because even in this company, sometimes I'm like, oh God, I should already know how to do that, or I should be further ahead on that, or I should. But it is a practice. It's like yoga is a practice, right? All these things are a practice. So I think it's like where the whole beginner phase we did, what do we call it? The Brittany phase, the in-between phase, the more advanced phase or whatever. But like, it's okay for us all to be in our own like phase and wherever we are, because it is a practice and we're going to have good days. We're going to have setbacks. I think like thinking about it as a practice is, it's so funny because we call it leadership practice, but we meant more like actually go practice it to do it, not in theory, like leadership, not theory, leadership and practice, but practice.
I like it. Other questions, thoughts? Need from jump to a slide? Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. It can be from Zoom. It can be. Aram is raising his hand. He's on Zoom now. Go ahead. You have to unmute though. He doesn't even do that. All right, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. So you're talking about the right emotion. Like you can't do things with the wrong emotion. Literally what I heard, what I took a note on was you can't create without the right emotion.
You can create. You can't create great without the right emotion.
Yeah. So iterations are important. But I kind of was curious to know what you meant by right emotion. I mean, I can understand the feeling, but there's no word for it, right? There's like not, when it's right.
So, the thing at the bottom I mentioned, the wrong emotion. I don't know if people know that one better. Like when you have the wrong emotion, say fear or ego.
Yeah.
And on one hand, people say yes. But other hand, I bet you far less than you realize. You ask people all around you, right? And be like, oh my God, that person does not realize their fear was triggered way in advance, or their ego started way earlier. Like the level of specificity that you can get to of knowing when you're about to ramp into this kind of deprivation phase and the early signals so you can stop your driving, stop your sense making earlier as opposed to later. That's a rep skill that you keep getting stronger in. But in the same way, when you say, how do I get the right emotion? When do you know it's a feeling, whatever, you'll know the more you rep it. And this is the part, the whole precision learning, precision unlearning, like it's different for everyone. So the more you rep it, you will know it in the nuances. The less you rep it, people are looking for that theoretical. It's like the feeling you have when you run a marathon and then you like complete at the end. You're like, but I've never run a marathon, so how do I know what that feels like? It's like the feeling when you go to the Olympics and you podium. Wait, I've never podiumed in the Olympics, so how do I know?
Right.
Well, it's that feeling where you built a startup and everything was doomed to fail, but somehow you released a product that took off and then it saved the company. I've never done that. Okay, let's see. It's that feeling maybe when you're a child that everyone said you can't do something because you're a loser or you're not good enough or you're not tall enough or strong enough. And you did it anyways, and then you actually became number one in the world, and her name is Michelle Wee, who like Jim Lear had trained. I think it was Michelle
The
Wee.
golfer, you mean?
The golfer, she was told you can't play, golf. And she's like, I want to do anything better than a man. And they're like, there's no way. And she literally said, screw that, I'm going to do it. And she did it. Like, there's so many people or it's like the blind guy, Eric Winnemeyer, who like Jim Lear met, and he like turned blind and he said, I'm going to still climb all the biggest peaks in the world. And they said, you're going to kill yourself and everybody else. And he said, I'm going to still do it anyways. And then he actually is the only guy in the world who climbed all 7 mountains blind and is now talking inspirational to everybody else. Like that feeling.
Yeah.
You won't even know what it is unless you try and push and push and push. And for you, it might just be, you know what? I just like did the impossible. And this is the part when I think about wanting to create, I think of difficulty. I think of hard. There's a lot of people who are like, you know what? The best experience I have was everything was calm and peaceful. I just got bonused. All my friends had slept all night, and I too had slept like 9 hours last night.
You're saying this convo highlights why we need our own stories and narratives. Are you saying it in many ways? What you're saying is like what that on fire feeling is, that on fire, being whatever you want to call it.
I look at
you have your own stories of when you feel.
I want to be on fire in the new environment.
Yeah.
But if you want to tell stories of how great you were on fire in the old environment when it wasn't so uncertain and it wasn't so much unpredictable stress coming,
It's not
right?
Stuff, right?
What are you doing? You're just finding a way to feel shitty every single day of how great you used to be.
Oh, that's the falling star. That's like my past was my best, and
not a falling star. Like I look at it as like kind of I want to win in a tough environment, which is why I know Greg picked up on the lip class he loved. He has these classics. One of them was the hard mode. I can't remember what that one was, but was it 200 lip 200? Like a video game. I want to go play in hard mode, not in, I like it when things are easy, right?
Yeah.
That's not a skill, right? You're just along for the ride. I love drinking champagne when everyone's celebrating, right? I was like, I don't know. I prefer being a Spartan, going to battle and winning, and then drinking champagne with the group. Not like, you guys fought great. I love being invited to these parties. Like, I don't know. That's called a grifter. It's like not earned. It's like kind of, I don't have a skill then. I want the skill. I want to earn the skill. So it's that emotion when it's hard. Like, can I generate it when it's tough? Not can I generate it when things are good? And usually people spend all the effort just to generate the emotion and then go do nothing, right? When I get stressed, I need to go for a run. Okay, so what'd you do after the run? Well, so tired. I had to rest, maybe hydrate, fuel myself, go have a meal, thought about
There's also, is that emotion generating as you're doing that? So obviously you have a mission, you have something in your mind that you want to create that's, difficult. As you start doing it, the emotion is generating. The more you do, the more you generate that feeling, right? Small wins, or I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess this is a good question. How long does it take you?
Yeah.
I can generate it in 2 seconds, 1 maybe. I'm being serious. I have like stories and narratives. I can boom. Megan, see me. Horrible situations. I can generate it in seconds. But you're like, I got to go for a 45-minute run. And then afterwards, I got to go take a shower. And then this and that. And I'm like, you don't even have the energy to go do something.
Right.
How long does it take you? And everyone's like, well, I use like walks for that. I go and meditate for 20 minutes. I'm like, you don't have 20 minutes, right? You have seconds. Can you generate it in seconds? And the answer is yes, but it has to be trained, right? So when you kind of start spiraling down, how long does it take you, right, to normalize, right?
That's cool.
Like,
Yeah.
that's a rep skill too. Like these are all rep skills. And literally when Hitendra said downward dog, boom,
Yeah.
instant. It should be that fast. That's the standard. Like that's the human mind. Like, but if it takes much longer, it just means, wow, a scale of 1 to 100, I have very weak muscles. So what do? When you have weak muscles? You go like Aruna and you start training and powerlifting, right? Until you like win some tournaments. Like you start and you have to acknowledge, like, as opposed to, oh my God, I'm almost 50 and muscles are so weak. I feel so embarrassed. Everyone's looking at me. And I'm like, everyone is like not used to this. Everyone's not used to this new normal. And so the reason why a lot of times people are continually stuck and losing is they just haven't realized, wait, okay, the situation changed, the world, which means also the skills I need have changed too, right?
Right.
And so if you're busy spewing all the old school stuff, right, which most people are still doing, right? Like just sniff your fingers or see if like, maybe it's coming from the wrong place. Like maybe I'm just regurgitating what I thought worked for me before when? Before COVID, before like, is it really working? Like, I think this is why it's so tough.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, so we're gonna, learn how to do this ourselves. And then we're gonna build a class to teach it. We're gonna teach it over 3 months where literally the way I look at it, you should be able to take anything. I mean, this lip class, I should be able to go and like literally just minutes, get the thing to go and just break it up into all kinds of things I need everywhere, including into our site, just boom, done. Should be able to take our database of 10,000 people who have come and tell me every little cut that's interesting to pursue and saying, these people you should have at a dinner party and these people you should explore more. These people you should like learn about community. These people you should learn leadership. These people you should learn about coding with AI. Boom, it's all there. Just human judgment is not there. Megan and I were saying for Krista and Kwong, we want to come and help code the AI coach.
Yeah.
So they're using AI to code it. The speed that it will change when we start coding with you on it. We'll collaborate, right? There's so many ideas of what I want to do. Like it's so, in my view, still nascent and just, it's like a dumb child that's still doing good things. I say dumb child in a very loving way because when they grow, I hope it's not a dumb adult, right? Does that answer your question now?
Yeah, can you tell us what you're gonna be learning in coding AI so that maybe we can do it on our parallel?
Well, my first approach is, how many things are out there on the internet of how to learn how to code with AI? So we're going to start looking through some of that crap to figure out which one is less crappy. We'll probably, Krista and Kwong will give us their version of a tutorial. We'll get Greg and Weiwei's as well. I know even Olivia has tried stuff. And so there's a way to find a way to break it down. I told Megan, one of my kind of like side project goals is when we had the precision medicine people asked like, who hasn't used AI? There's only 2 people who raised their hands. It was our banker from Dime and Laura I. So I was like, oh, well, one of my goals is to now build a program that can teach Laura I how to use AI and just sit back and see her job do 100 times better. So I don't know if she's on the call, but
Not today.
yes, but she is one of the like litmus tests, which means really simple to build up.
Yeah.
But if you know anything about me, I don't like small goals, right? So it's like, it would be great, kind of like Olivia got promoted 3 levels up. Imagine if Laura I, they're like, we want to invite you to the executive room and maybe would you consider sitting on the board? I think she works at the Rockefeller Foundation or Rockefeller something, something Rockefeller. Like, that's the kind of like, how'd you learn this? Like, we would like to invite you to the board meeting, Laura I. Like, she'll come baking her cookie. Well, she'll be like, yeah, let AI do it too.
Yeah, that's a cool goal.
Other questions? on the Zoom at all? You can unmute if you want, or we can go to people here. You can unmute whenever you want. So, do you guys have any other reactions? Any slides? So quiet.
I think Simon has a trash talking us, and yet to see a non-engineer build an app with AI that can scale properly.
It's not necessarily trash talking. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
I spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time using various different AI tools, and so have my co-founders and everything, and people that I spend a lot of time with who are trying to do this. They just keep coming into the same sorts of problems. You can build something and it looks good and it works and it's okay, but when it comes to properly scaling it, like getting it in front of, hundreds of thousands, hundreds to thousands of people using it, it doesn't work. There are just things about the expertise of a software engineer just knows certain things around how structures and various different things, right? They can see the problems like happening in the code. They're like, no, you don't use that. Whereas, so like, yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to see how far, and I'm assuming, Charlie, that you don't know how to code. So I'd be interested to watch like how far you get. And part of me wants to throw down a thing and be like, if you don't run into these problems, I'll give you $1,000. But I don't have that kind of money, so I'm not going to do that. But I'm kind of like, I'm almost that confident that like
Oh yeah.
It's going to be it's going to be way harder than you think it is.
Oh no. So I think
That feels like
That's what I'm saying.
I think I will find a way to extract $1,000 worth of whether it's haircuts from you or but of course you'll not be cutting my hair, someone else's hair, I point to. But I think what I believe you will quickly see is it goes like this. It's the human side that's wrong. Now Krista Kwong now, even though I've not coded, but when I go work with them, the progress they make on the tool, it's like super fast. Over a weekend, it will improve. It is not the coding skill. Now, that old world thinking, the belief is that all the engineers, the coding, and I heard the whole thing with there's a bunch of podcasts that, it's a Mexican standoff between like coders, designers, and product managers. And I was like, no, they're totally missing the point. All three are gone. It comes down to having the right human judgment, the right understanding of what you want to do, how fast you iterate. And the single best proof of this for us, even that we've seen, Greg in the London office, our site is not simple. Perks at Work is a super complicated e-commerce site integrated with tons of legacy commerce, like actual commerce and fraud and crazy complexity. And our teams over the years, we put so many, could not build a proper e-commerce mobile app. And for Greg, who drove it and built most of it, never coded, and has over 1 million downloads, right? And this thing is insane, like what it's doing. And they're not even close to done. Had nothing to do with engineering. Nothing to do with engineering. And he did it when the AI coding tools are far worse, far, far worse.
And corrected then. I obviously owe Greg a load of haircuts.
Yeah, no.
Frank, a lot of haircuts, yes.
But this is the part where I think it's backwards. The training is on the left side. People don't know. And even looking at AI, people don't realize AI is responding to the data that's out there. So if you're not aware of even a rough visceral sense of what data you're pinging, you're like, well, tell me to break up. It's like you have to realize what's out there. It's analyzing and it's responding to
That's why it's coming down to judgment always.
But Simon, I will take the challenge, but I will not take your money, but I will definitely prove you very wrong.
No, can someone film Charlie doing it? I guarantee you'll never see Charlie swear more. You fucking stupid thing. Why are you doing that?
It's so funny. Just downloading some of the software the other night, sitting next to each other. I can huff like nobody's.
Think of the argument.
I did not do that, but you got a little frustrated at the little parts. But you, generally speaking, don't. You'll just be like, it's weird. It's not
You were
weird. I
so
shouldn't say
frustrated.
weird.
I'm sure how you be aware.
Yeah.
How I'm feeling.
Like, just think about how frustrated and how annoyed you got just asking it to like go, no, 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 the arrows go clockwise.
Yeah, no, but that's but you know how easy it was to then realize I can just fix it in PowerPoint myself,
Yeah.
as opposed to spend
Yeah.
like 6 more hours
Yeah,
being
yeah, yeah. And
frustrated.
now,
Right.
To then realize that was my fault, not the AI's. See? Like, will AI eventually fix that? Yes, but it's my choice. Just so you know, to give you a sense, this diagram here, right, in its simplest form, to give you a sense of how great AI is able to complicate the shit out of stuff. And
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is what I made. And some of you will be like, wow, this is great. I'm like, it reminds you of this quote, right? It takes a lot of hard work to make something simple. Like AI is good at complicating the shit out of everything. That's like what you want. Like, I mean, the hardest thing, even in this class, was to break it down even shorter, and it's hard. It's like it's not there yet, but yeah, no, I think to me the good news is this: is the coding part is irrelevant. Literally, the fact that even now, even today, there's a feature on Anthropic's cloud that like I can just
Speak
literally
to, yeah.
have it turn on and just listen. I've read about individuals just saying that's what I'm doing. I'm just kind of like having it listen to me as
Yeah.
I'm brainstorming, and it's just making shit.
Which is why
And then I'm like, oh, and maybe that was a good one. I want more of that.
that's why you said you got to get good at VDing, the visceral drafting,
Yeah.
to be able to do that, because otherwise you're going to be speaking a bunch of crap and it's going to make a bunch of crap. So
And everyone's out there spewing all the nonsense of it's about taste, it's about this. I'm like, no, it's about what you want to do. As a human being, do you know what you want to do? And can you iterate it to the right place in a world that's chronically uncertain and like just unpredictable stress coming all the time, right? As opposed to, you know,
Kind of reminds me of something you said years ago, which was like when people say, "Oh, I want to upskill. I want to get better at leadership. I wonder if I can like maybe public speaking would work." And like the response always, "Well, what do you want to say?" And no one ever they just go, "Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe if I just understand like you know how to do that, then I'll know what to say." And he's like, "No, no, no. Like know what it is that you want." So yeah, I agree. I agree.
the hard thing is, what do you want to say?
yeah, but what do you want to say? Why do you want to say it? Like, you know, is there some value? Are you just going to pump out more noise into the world? Like, are you sure what you're saying actually has any value? Did you try it on someone that you love and then see help them, as opposed to, I like to try it on strangers because I love to get a lot of strangers loving me. Like, you know, try if it's something valuable, I'm going to try on someone I love and then see if it may help them. If it did, I'm like, wow. Then I want to give it to somebody else and more. Then I'm like, oh, now I'll share it for the world.
Yeah.
That's when you build a product. Anybody here? Oh, go ahead.
When you were talking about the new environment, chronic uncertainty, unpredictable stress, that was essentially my upbringing. And yes, I was helpless and hopeless. And I really resonated. I'm not a Star Wars person, but like the Darth Vader darkness, like I know that really well. And I loved what you said before about when you reduce fear and ego, which is what I've spent like 10 years actively doing to save myself from my own like insanity. Not the VD reps are completely different skill. And so I'm at that place of like, how do I bring in more of that fight without losing myself to like, I'm really, you know, without my practice, I'm really
Very
good
good question. Very good
at
question.
being like, I'll just say it this way. I'm going to have a hard time trash talking tonight, not because I'm not good at trash talking, but because my trash talking is like Hannibal Lecter and like Miranda Priestley had a baby from Devil Wears Prada, where she could just like look at people and like I've worked really hard.
So you're that good, huh?
I've said some cruel ass shit.
Huh?
Like,
No,
you know,
but trash talking and cruel are two different things.
see, but that my Sith Lord doesn't know the difference.
Then I wouldn't say you're good at trash talk. You're good at being cruel, which is different than being good at trash
So
talk.
then I stay away from being cruel.
So I was coming up with different
So
themes.
I'm not going to do it. Is what I'm
Well, here. So I don't know if this helps. let's come up with 5 different ways. So we always do like a noobs versus vets. We'll figure out what that cutoff is. These are the topics
Versus
I thought,
vets.
right?
Some veterans.
Better.
like
So
people-
playing the game or whatnot.
Oh,
We'll
like
figure out
vegetarian.
something. Or it could be knowing the community. I thought cost centers versus making money. I don't know if that matters, but I thought midgets versus too tall. Stuck in life versus on fire versus men versus women. I don't know if those are the right categories. I'm just brainstorming.
I'm sweating
But
just
I
thinking
try
about
and
it.
think of ways to get people to trash talk. So if you are very good, right, and you think it's too cruel, like, well, now we all know. So we will come and tackle you and muzzle you when you start to get racist or something crazy.
No, I don't do,
but-
I don't do racism.
I'm saying, you never know when like cruelty has no boundary usually. But here's the part I was going to say. This left side takes training. And there's something interesting about the idea of the JJ reps, self-induced training to take something easier, right? So like if you're really good at trash talking or say being cruel, be cruel in a competitive game, a flip cup where it doesn't matter. And if it does, and you actually do a really good job, you'll be on another team in the next round. So like it kind of is so temporary. And also like, when people have a few like drinks or even seltzers, it's amazing how they could just kind of, be like, wow, that's a good one. And they might even chime in with you and glom on to your version, but then you just try to notch it up and see if you can get even better. Because the best trash talking is if you get in someone's head and so they spiral and they fall apart. So if you are that good, could you do it in a place where I remember when we first did it when our company grew huge with all these engineers, and we had all these, foreign nationals and a lot of like Indian engineers, and Vaishali is one of them. And like, it's just super nice girls. Everyone's so nice. And like once they got into trash talking, I mean, a lot of these Indian engineers who never, I think, played this game, everyone was screaming just the words of Vaishali, you suck.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
that.
like,
She's like one of the nicest human beings.
no, but I was like, where is this fucking energy coming from? Right? I can't wait till Monday when we're going to start coding. And I'm being like, okay, now you who went off on Vaishali, you sucked in this code. So let's talk about how to get your code better. The point is like, I would like to see you experiment on that. Right. And the beauty of Flip Cup is that they won't even remember by tomorrow. And so the earlier you do it, the later on, they won't even remember. Right. So anyways, the point is a ramp. But to get to a place where could you taunt someone on something that matters, right? Like, and then, there's always two sides of it. It's amazing how this stuff works in psychology. They're almost the exact same thing. If you can taunt someone and get in their head and in a fun way, as opposed to a cruel way, you could probably take it yourself too, right? But if you can't take it, you're not going to know where to draw the line and you're not going to be very good, so instead it's almost like,
It's funny. Last night walking home, this happened like almost. Yeah, I was like, oh my god! I didn't realize it until Charlie pointed out. I trash talked him on something, and then he did it back, and I went, well, that was kind of mean. I was like, you started it, and I was like, I didn't realize I totally started it, right?
yeah, but
And then I was like, well, that was a little mean. I don't know what the hell. Like, I don't know if you needed, I forget what was
if
stupid.
someone's mean, I can spar back, but that's not what I.
Yeah, I
but-
did for the
Yeah,
juggler.
I know.
And
That's
I
right.
worked really
Yeah.
hard. not
Let's
to
see if you
that.
can
Let's
do
see
it.
what
No, but I'm
you were
saying,
going to say.
no, but not even that.
Fish.
If
I think you
if-
say fish.
well, put it this way. Don't listen to that. If you go for the jugular, remember you can't get physical. You don't use words, right? If you go for the jugular and the opposing team
Yeah.
has no impact, then you suck at
Right.
trash talking.
Right.
That's not jugular. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That sounds like you're throwing
You're saying it's
softballs that
contact.
you're like, let me throw this lethal marshmallow at your face, right? Like, no, let's see how good you are. So I'm saying this left side,
I
okay?
am curious.
But can I tell you the flip side, if I had to draw a chart, exists in the right side. And this is a completely different skill. The same idea of ramping up. Like, how do I make anything awesome? I'm telling you, even surprising Aaron in his play, the average individual has done such a shitty job. They would have just done what they think was a lot. And then they'll say, but that's not my work. I have to lot. Do you know how much work Mega and I had? Like, we drove the bulk of the details of that. Yes, we had teams, we had to go do certain things like Fredo, find a bar, right? Like we had to figure out live how to make adjustments of all sorts. But like, can you take something small and make it so freaking good? Everyone's like, holy shit. Is this how you do everything? no, like I just do it for the stuff that doesn't matter. That's what most people get to, as opposed to no, that's how I do everything. Like, so I don't care how small it is or how big. Do it like better than anyone's ever seen, and you're constantly pushing.
Well, that was
That's
huge for me. So
Oh.
it was not insignificant.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron's comment to me was like, that's what he does for his friends, but he's like never at the scale. And I was like, oh, you should see the ones who do even bigger scale. Like, we could do it with 400 people, and we've done this. Like, so like, there's a part where, and it's live adjusting and decision making, like, and stuff going wrong everywhere. I mean, I don't know why our Uber had too many people in it. Like, we were crammed in. Megan had no seat. Like, and usually that pisses her off, but the music was good. So, and so the speed I had to move to change the music to make sure she doesn't go on tilt and like feel angry. I know. I know you. But good DJ. Cured it all. Anybody else?
Yeah, it was the biggest thing. I have to tell you that the impact that that had on me was huge. So I felt the energy all the way through, and uh, it makes absolute sense how much effort you put in. I cannot tell you how taken away I was. And so, yeah, it compounds itself. So, yeah. And yeah, that's a true gift. So, thank you.
It was fun. It was fun. And seeing the impact on you was really great. I mean, it did fill our cup, like weeks can be tough. Like it did fill our cup. And it is true though, what Charlie's saying is like I mean, I know in the history of all events and things that we do that are fun, we just go nuts. Trips that we take, offsites we do. I mean, we do the extra preparations and planning and like every little detail. But to actually apply that to everything you're doing feels like kind of like a blind, yeah, like a little bit of like a blind spot. It's like in everything,
I mean,
because it can feel like a lot of energy on stuff that, maybe doesn't matter. I'm just looking around.
I mean, this
like,
lip class is free.
Yeah.
We don't need to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, we literally made up this content,
Yeah.
but in a day. We're doing it every week, right? It could easily pull a quote, ask ChatGPT, right? Take this framework and then let me teach you this really cool infographic you can go and spread and change, right? About how it reinforces the loop, break the loop and all the stuff. And you're like, wow, that was really great. Like, we think that sucks. We think even what we wrote isn't good enough. We're iterating, changing. So I'm like, you're saying, I'm like, we're
doing it every week in here. And this is like a ramp. It's never done. It's truly the practice of it every week. 270.
We're doing it every week and running
275.
co-Thursdays or first Thursdays. We're doing it in running our business and running all kinds of other things. Like, don't believe you're assessing the situation.
Well,
correctly.
I'm saying for me, I feel like
I don't believe you're
it's a
assessing
team
the
we do,
situation.
but-
correctly.
okay.
You need the
Thank you. Maybe I need to.
Oh, yes, no.
Again.
Oh, yes. Or maybe we need to save this for when she has to flip a cup so that she can spiral. Right? Remember what she said. Remind her. Remember your jugular.
Yeah, jugular.
Right?
I'd like to see it.
Someone not doing well.
Nasty.
Not doing well. She'll be like, Megan, remember how you were no good in the important stuff in life. So you seem to want to kill it in the stuff that doesn't matter, right? Yes, let's see how she spirals, right? Gets in her head in the cup and then.
Oh my God. We're basically doing ego. We're gonna go for ego tonight.
Oh yeah, ego and fear.
Ego. We're training ego tonight.
Ego and
tournament is turning into training ego. Fear, sure, right?
No,
You can't do it. Everybody's watching you. You're fumbling. That's fear. So that's true. It's going to be fear and ego.
Considered other categories of like, those who have like either no hair or breaking hair versus healthy hair. And those with like, like I'm just
the same team.
yeah, no, it's just or coming up with like
He knows my hair is.
no, or coming up with like those who feel uncomfortable with their belly versus those who don't.
God.
Something, and that's
Just looking for
like,
everything to trash talk me right now. Oh my God. I'll find so many things
yes, no,
right tonight.
I'm sorry I'm missing this.
no.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, how about like those who are like good parents versus those who actually are bad or think they're bad or would be good? I don't know. Come on,
That's
something.
way too complicated.
See,
That's way too.
Not in the drinking game.
that's why I don't.
I'll bet are off.
No, but seltzers.
You're
Ginger beer.
You're
I mean,
gonna
you're
get gassed. You're
No,
gonna get gassed.
we need you
You're
highly
uncomfortable, which means you
uncomfortable.
angry.
Uncomfortable and angry, and then suddenly you're like, yes. All right. I hope
right,
that
yeah.
was helpful.
See you guys
Next week we have but we have to stop right at 12 because we have to catch a train to DC. So we might do the feedback one next week. That
Yeah.
SUO, the psychological safety. It's actually a really good topic of how basically I think the initial title I had was everyone has feedback and psychological safety ass backwards, but I'll come up with a better title that fits.
We won't call it that.
But yeah, everyone has it ass backwards, which is why they don't really know how to get feedback, use feedback. Yeah, the punchline until 2 is this: psychological safety isn't about how you feel. It's actually
How you make
about how
other
you make
people
other people around you feel so they can give you the truth really easily. And so everyone focuses in the wrong direction. So that's the punchline, but we'll cover that in more detail. There's a lot of nuances in it. All right.
Cool.
All right,
Thank you,
Karen.
guys.
See you.